This episode is brought to you by Google Health. Stop chasing someone else's definition of health. What matters is what's healthy for you. Google Health offers a new kind of coach built with Gemini for effortless tracking, sleep insights, and holistic coaching tailored to you. Visit googlestore.com to learn more and start a new relationship with your health. Requires Google account, Google Health app, internet, and Google Health premium subscription. Features subject to change. Availability and results vary. Not intended for medical purposes. Works independently of Gemini apps. Check responses for accuracy.
Hi, I'm Andrea Claire, and this is my podcast. What happens when life completely shatters the canvas you've spent decades painting? My guest today knows the brutal reality firsthand. Melissa Street is an Emmy Award-winning makeup artist who directed teams for A-list talent and shaped the faces of Hollywood film, television, and fashion. Melissa's legendary 35-year career hit a brick wall when she was blindsided by a stroke. But instead of letting that forced retirement keep her down, Melissa took her wealth of knowledge to TikTok under the handle Epic Makeup, and she is on an absolute mission. She's out here educating the demographic that the beauty industry completely ignores, women in midlife. And let's be honest, those corporate beauty brands are still mostly being run by middle-aged men who think their target market should be their sugar babies. Melissa is here today to talk about the gut-wrenching reality of losing your identity, the messy process of rebuilding from scratch, and why life after 50 is about reclaiming your damn power, even when the universe tries to tear it away from you. 8 Emmys, 0 fucks. Melissa, welcome to the Fuck You 50s.
I've won 8 Emmy Awards for news media, and they're all for NBC. I've won some other awards for like commercials and things like that, but those are also not in a different category, but under that umbrella. So, my real Emmys all came from NBC and news media, breaking news, stuff like that. NBC bought Telemundo midway through my career there. So I had all of Telemundo as well under my belt for Emmys too. So when it was 2020 and the pandemic, and we were all out there covering all this major news and things were happening, and Trump was elected and all the things he said and all that stuff, right? Not to be political, but yeah, all that stuff can put you into an Emmy Award situation depending on what you're covering. So yeah.
What's the competition like?
A lot. It's a lot because you're up against every major news media station in the country. And for us, a lot of times when it was here in California, most of the Emmys get sucked up by like the Today Show and places in New York. So you really have to get on this breaking news stuff, and something major has to happen here. Thankfully, here in San Diego, I'm in this military town, and there's a lot of stuff that happens in the military. There's a lot of things that we covered, and not all of it fantastic.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah. So your breadth of your experience, and when you were you working on film and TV as well?
Yeah. I worked a lot in film and TV. I started progressing more into what they call industrial film, which is non-union. I enjoyed that a lot more. About midway through my career, we moved here to San Diego, and I ended up working with a company that had a contract for the state of California. And I never even heard of this before, but they would take all of these different scenarios. It was for the police, it was for the FBI, it was for the CIA here in California, all these things. And they would film them the way that the entire case went. And then if it was incorrect, they would write the correct scenario, and we would then film the correct scenario, so that they would go in and they would train all of these police officers, agents, all of these people, so that they knew what they had done wrong. And they filmed them like movies. It was crazy.
Was it like reenactments, I guess?
It was totally reenactment, but it was something that was very realistic. And if you can imagine the gamut of things, it would be governmental things to homeless to trafficking, drug, all this stuff, right? And we're right on the border of Mexico. So you've got some really interesting things that happened and didn't happen well. So they would switch it around and go, here's how it should have went. And
God, I don't know if I'd want to be a part of that.
it was so weird. I saw things I didn't need to know. It was all under Arnold Schwarzenegger when he was our governor, and this is how he would train his people.
Were they always doing that, or was that just something new under?
I don't know. I've only ever known about it from California, but I do know that a lot of things that we shot would go global, especially anything that had to do with the military. So when 9/11 hit here, it was a big deal, and we would film a lot of things that had to do with the Marine Corps and all this kind of stuff. So
I am so fascinated by this, Melissa. Is it only training videos? Like, obviously we're not watching like the FBI channel.
yeah, no, you wouldn't be watching it. No, it's all for internal use, and they needed a special effects artist, and that's something that I specialized in for a while. So any kind of disguise work, tattoo work, blood, guts, gore, whatever, anything that happened, it would be me and my team that would go in there and execute that stuff. So it was very weird and something I had no idea about, none whatsoever. Things I don't even want to like repeat. There were times when we would be out in 29 Palms, which is where the major military is, where they actually train the Marine Corps, and we're sitting out there and you're just like, I don't want to know this stuff.
So Taken with Liam Neeson is not that big of a stretch from reality.
Right. So film work for me was like a vacation in a sense, because this is not reality that I'm filming. Oh, great. Okay, good. Yay. It's a nice little rom-com.
Oh my God. You're like,
Yeah.
someone's having a temper tantrum because they don't have blue Smarties in your
Right.
dressing room. And you're like, whatever,
Totally.
give them
Yeah.
blue Smarties. It's so interesting because I never, ever, ever in a million years would have guessed that would have been a job for us. And I
Right.
remember years ago when I was a single mom with my two older kids, and one of my friends, another makeup artist here in Toronto, he was working on porn. And that was another thing that I never even like thought that, would be on the table for us. But apparently there's a lot of porn shot here in
Yeah.
Toronto. And he said to me, like, if you want to get in on it, I can. And I was like, I don't really think I want to work in porn, but thanks.
When I got out of makeup school, it was two things. You could apprentice for free, which I did for 3 years for free, but I had to also make money. So it was like, do you go into the porn industry right away, or do you go into the morgue? And I went into the morgue because the porn industry was just a little too wacky for me. And there was a lot of, at the time, this was in the late 80s. At the time, it was a lot of HIV issues. People didn't know anything.
Right.
I was really scared, even though there was no reason to be. But there were people that were dying. I think I'll go with the dead people. But that was also a trippy, weird thing. And I was super young and woof.
And now hair and makeup artists starting out, they can just sell their feet pictures online and make ends meet.
Yeah, seriously. I know my feet are old now, so I can't do that. So
you know what? Honestly, Melissa, there's probably a market out there. So crazy. So then how long were you working as a makeup artist for? How many years were you in the business?
In total, I was a makeup artist for 35 years.
How did you find this is something that I always find kind of interesting as I'm getting older. I just turned 55 in March. I don't know if I'm just more aware of it, or maybe things bug me a little bit more, but I feel that we definitely see a lot of ageism in our industry. I feel like more towards women, to be honest. But as you were getting older in the industry, did you start noticing that as well? And how did you feel about that?
I did. I'll tell you, I remember being with a mentor of mine, and she said to me, when you reach your 40s, you're going to be at the pinnacle, you're at the top of your career. You're not too young that you don't know, and you're not too old that people don't want to hire you anymore because they think you're too old to do stuff. You're going to be right at that sweet spot. And she was absolutely correct. When I hit 40, I was so busy for over a decade. I had like 6 makeup artists that were working for me because I would be double, triple booked on certain days, and I would send them out. So that's when I had recruited people like my right hand, which was Kathy Singh, for almost 20 years. And we would go and do really huge live event shows too, together, all of us together. But mostly my team was out there working for my clients. And it was just a ton of work for a decade or more. I'm 58 now. And I guess I retired early, and we'll get into that in a second. I had no thoughts of stopping necessarily, but I will tell you the last 5 years of my career, I hated it. I hated every day of my
Yeah.
career. It was awful.
It's interesting. So I personally just recently left my agent. I was with my agency for 25 years, and it's hard too because I do find, yes, definitely there's ageism that we're dealing with for sure. And then the industry has changed so much, like with the
Mhm,
AI
mhm.
and then also with budget cuts and then I also find, again, probably in alongside that whole ageism issue too. It's like sometimes people are getting into junior producer positions and then they're hiring their friends, which I don't fault anybody hiring their friends,
Right, right.
but they also have to know what their job is and how to do it. I'm like you, like I will share information. If you're booked on a job that you need help through,
Mhm,
hit a roadblock, I will help a peer, like no
mhm,
problem at all. But I did have a couple situations where someone got a job over me and then
mhm,
I got, which is fine because, hey, we get presented for a job and the client picks, A, B,
right,
C, or
who they
D,
want. Yeah.
whatever. That's fine. I didn't get picked for two jobs. Then the person that they hired as the key couldn't execute the job properly. So then someone reached out to me if I could help. And it kind of pissed me off a little bit because, again, in that realm of like, I'm happy to help a peer, but then
Mhm.
we're up for a job. And if you're not a key player, that's kind of what with it, without getting into the specifics of these jobs, I feel like that person just showed that they weren't ready to be a key player. And now they're looking for my help to fix that.
Exactly, and they could have saved money just by hiring the correct person in the first place.
We came from like shooting on film and that whole going
Mhm.
from film to digital to
Those were the
HD
days,
to
man.
4K, 8K. What is it up to now?
I think everything's being shot in 8K, but I
Right.
don't think our technology to view 8K has caught up yet. Yeah, but 8K is the bane of every makeup artist's existence because you cannot cover anyone for 8K with makeup. It's just not there for you. You absolutely have to hire someone like my husband in editing who can sit there and we got to
Yeah.
soften that. We got to, put a little light there. We got to do a little something. It is so ageist in my industry. It is not funny. And men can work until they're 100 years old. Women, nope. Mm-mm. Women, you're bye-bye. You have to be young and look young and God forbid you start changing your face, you start getting a little Botox, you start going under the knife a little bit for whatever reason, whether you want to or not, if it's part of your job, whatever. And then you start looking crazy, where men don't get that way as much as women do. It is such a bummer to have someone in your chair that really decided I have to do what they're telling me to do. I need to look better. It's really sad that women can't just age naturally.
Yeah, I agree. It,
Yeah.
it's frustrating. Aside from facials and everything, that's the only thing that I've done is the Botox, and I do it for me because I like it. And not saying that people do things because they don't like it, but there's definitely pressures. There's Hollywood pressures,
Mhm,
and that also kind of goes into society pressures too for women.
mhm,
And I do find it so frustrating where you'll see like an article about a woman who is like getting older and then people are like, well, she's a celebrity. She has the money. She should look good. She's aging horribly. Then they feel pressured to do whatever. Then they do whatever. And then society jumps on them. Oh my God, she looks disgusting. Why doesn't she just age gracefully? Why is she doing that? And it's like, oh, like women, like we literally can't
yeah.
win.
No, we throw ourselves on the double-edged sword. When we would film in film, it was so wonderful because film had to be lit a specific way, and it took a lot longer to do things. So in the sense, we all won because when you signed up to be on a film, you could be on that film for 6 months, and that was good money. That was you being employed for half the year. It took a long time, and people looked so nice, and film could be adjusted, camera could be adjusted. Things were just so. It was just softer. And I'll never forget the red camera coming out and digital. And we were like, what is this? And then filming, all of a sudden, our days went from like, oh, here's a 10-hour shoot to here's a 17-hour shoot. And we were like, 17 hours? We're in digital. We shouldn't have to film 17 hours. And, you're like, oh, wait, I have a life. Hold on a minute. 17 hours? And then they don't want to pay you triple time. Well, guess what? 17 hours. Who works like that?
I remember working on an IKEA commercial for 22 hours.
Yeah, that's so illegal. That's not even funny. I had a hard time with that kind of stuff too, because they would also give you the side eye and treat you differently for a while if you said, no, I'm not doing that. And as I got older, it was like, oh, don't ask her. She's going to make trouble. She's not young like us.
But even like the male makeup artists and male hairstylists, they would get away with it. But it's us. Like it is so.
It's always the women.
So
it's
frustrating.
always us that were the pain in the ass. Yeah. Always.
I've said this repeatedly in a few podcast episodes where, then if you don't kind of silently comply, then you're considered a Karen. And my whole thing with this whole terminology of Karen and minus the extremes that are out there, I honestly just think it's another tool for people to silence women.
100%. In my industry, it was a constant battle to get hired and then get the respect level. Whenever I would bring up an issue, I would be walking on eggshells, around a producer, but it was something that needed to be handled. And even, the thing that I found that was the hardest was a woman to woman. So if it was me going to a female producer, she was worse than a male producer every single time. And I just sat there going, what are you doing? I'm coming to you as a female going, hey, this isn't okay. Things are happening. I'm unhappy about it. And we have to do something about it. And the females would always fight me. They would always be like, ugh, you're making too much of a big deal about this, blah, blah, blah. I'm not making too much of a big deal about this.
I mean, when we get into these higher kind of power positions, a lot of us tend to feel like we need to prove that we can do this.
Right.
So I'm going to prove that I can do it by saying no to somebody. Whereas saying no is not necessarily going to empower a team.
Right.
How many years did you spend doing that?
In true department head filming, I spent a solid 15, close to 20 years of doing that. If you don't have a voice, you're going to get run over. If you don't think it's okay to make waves, you're going to get taken advantage of every single time. If anything, it's gotten worse. And budgets have gotten cut a lot. Streaming didn't help anybody. As much as we love sitting around watching everything whenever we want to, the streaming industry has taken over, which we knew they were going to. And, they're filming huge things now, and they like to spend very little money. And, your budget's getting cut in half. And what are you supposed to do? The last 5 years was the worst stress I had ever been under. And I had a medical situation happen. I was leaving a movie. The movie was going on hiatus because the director got fired, which I had never, ever, ever been on a set where a director was literally fired by the cast. And the DGA came in and SAG came in, and I didn't know what to do. And people were like, oh, you're going to get interviewed by the DGA because there's accusations. And I was like, shit. And we were just full stress mode. And they ended up shutting the film down for a while. And right after they shut that film down, I had a stroke. Wow. I had a hemorrhagic stroke at 3:30 in the morning on this side of my brain. Blood vessel bursted. And I had never had high blood pressure in my whole life. And my husband happened to be home. He's usually travels a lot. Mm-hmm. My husband will go and do his stuff, literally his editing work on set. He was gone a lot. Happened to be home. And he took me to the hospital right away, and he saved my life totally. I mean, every single medical person, my neurologist, everyone said, if it wasn't for your husband getting you to the hospital in the time frame, you would have had a major, major brain bleed, possibly an aneurysm. You could have died, or you could have been permanently paralyzed.
My
And I was the
God.
only person in that entire floor that wasn't paralyzed. And my doctor looked straight at me and said, don't waste this. Every one of my patients besides you is permanently paralyzed.
My
Don't
God,
waste
that's
it.
horrific.
That's when I said, I'm done.
Yeah.
I'm retiring. I did return to that movie. So I was 4 months out of an ICU. And I could have said no. I could have had someone else do it. I was there for 3 days, and, my AD went, what's wrong with you? You don't look good. And I'm like, yeah, I don't think I'm feeling good. And the medic was there, and I took my blood pressure, and the medic looked at me and said, going in an ambulance, or are you calling somebody to go take you to the hospital? He said to me, if you don't go by ambulance, then the insurance company won't pay for it. There's so much weird technical bureaucratic tape involved too in things with film.
Do you find too with the hesitation of like I get the whole like red tape and everything as well, but do you also think it's also us where we're like, I'm okay, I'm fine, I got it?
There is definitely that female part of me, that mothering side of me too, because I was always the set mother. And so I didn't want to, be the problem. I didn't want to walk away. What if something happened? What if I cannot come back? Like all
Yeah.
this shit. And I finally just went, this is it. We finished the back end of that movie in 8 days, 2 of which I spent in the hospital. And I was like, this is it. I'm not even going back even a small amount. I'm just not. I don't like the way I'm treated.
Yeah.
You know, the respect level plummeted quite a bit. Everyone was very like freaked out that I had a stroke, but I had many friends who were makeup artists that said, I went to the doctor because of you. And the doctor said, yeah, you have high blood pressure, and put me on medication. I had a really good friend of mine, huge makeup artist, who said, I've scaled back because of you. I had done a live from the ICU being prompted by my speech therapist, who said, this will help you.
Mm-hmm.
If this is something that you constantly do. And I was on Instagram a lot.
I remember seeing it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it was enlightening. And every single person who saw that, especially my friends who are huge makeup artists, were like, we're scaling back. This is too much. The thing I could think of the most was like, oh, they're in the same age range as I am, that 50 age range, and we don't take care of ourselves. We're on set constantly. We're in dark environments constantly. We're eating like crap. We have no exercise. We're dehydrated. We can't get what we need on a daily basis when we've signed that contract. And so we're giving our lives to this thing for money.
Yeah. I mean, aside from all of 100% what you're saying, the other thing that I learned, because I have high blood pressure as well, kind of started suddenly when we were moving back from Singapore to Canada. And my gynecologist at the time, she said, it could be stress of moving. So wait until you're settled back in Canada and
Right.
then get it checked again. Still was high. And all of a sudden they went from like me not being on any medication, and I'm not anti-medication. I'm like, give me the
Right.
science. I'll take it all. No problem. Um, they want to put me on 3 different medications. I don't understand the 0 to 3.
Mhm.
And I had also perimenopause too.
Oh,
It's like that can also cause women's blood
yes.
pressure to go up.
Yes.
And so I
Mhm.
asked my doctor here in Toronto, is it possible, this is me not trying to get out of pills because I'll take them, but I said, is it possible that I could be having high blood pressure because of perimenopause. And yes, of course, everything that you've said too with our work. But and then after when I go into menopause, would it be possible that I might not need the blood pressure medication anymore? Which she said is possible. She said, honestly, most women, once they're on like blood pressure medication, that's it. But it is interesting because a lot of women do develop a high blood pressure.
Yes. And then still going through menopause. Because at 40, when I'm supposed to be in my prime, I had to have an ablation. I had
What's
a
that?
bleed out. Well, I had massive fibroids. And I woke up one day and was just gushing and nothing would stop it at all. And thankfully, I didn't have to go in for major surgery. They were able to remove a lot of my fibroids from an ablation surgery. But the doctor said, your period could come back and maybe not. And it never came back. So when I would go into my gynecologist, they were like, yeah, you could have been in menopause. You could be in menopause now. You're 43. Maybe you are. Maybe you're not. I don't know. And going on all these hormones and then having people go, oh, she's on hormones. Oh, that's why she's so this, that, and the other.
Oh,
And
yes.
it was like, you can't win. From the time I was about 45 to now, I still have hot flashes. I still have mood swings. I still have all these things where I'm on all this different kind of medication, including, high blood pressure for moodiness and for, other stuff. And I'm like, I can't win. I have to eliminate something. And I eliminated my work. I had run into a really good friend of mine who is a huge makeup artist. And she said to me, God, you haven't seen you for a long time and you look so good. What happened? What are you using? You have to tell me. And I was like, you think this is skincare?
You're like, it's ode to retirement.
I literally was like, this is no stress, my love. This is what happens when you have no stress.
What's your adjustment afterwards? Like when...
That's a good question. I will tell you this, not one day has gone by. I do not miss going to set ever. I do not miss the brush in my hand, putting it to somebody's face, listening to their crap, their total ridiculous,
yeah,
egocentric, entitled crap that they
yeah.
think is so incredibly important in life. And the privilege of what they've been given just because they can act is
study and play come together on a Windows 11 PC. And for a limited time, college students get the best of both worlds. Get the Unreal College Deal. Everything you need to study and play with select Windows 11 PCs. Eligible students get a year of Microsoft 365 Premium and a year of Xbox Game Pass Ultimate with a custom color Xbox wireless controller. Learn more at windows.com/student offer. While supplies last. Ends June 30th. Terms at aka.ms/collegepc.
Do you hear that? Sounds like breakfast is ready. Because Quaker's coming in hot with morning nutrition. 100% whole grain oats and a good source of fiber to fuel the rhythm of your morning and kickstart your day. And that sounds absolutely delicious. Fuel to start whatever's next. Quaker, official sponsor of FIFA World Cup 26.
There's actors and then there's celebrities. And I always worked for actors. But the younger actors have these egos, to me, not all of them, but a lot of them are they are blown out of proportion. They're ridiculous. The best actress I ever worked for, unfortunately, died young. And that was Michelle Trachtenberg.
Oh, yeah.
And, but I will tell you, she was a source of major stress for me because I knew she was going through a bunch of things. But she was someone that I broke a cardinal rule of mine, which was to not make friends with people. But we had bonded so close. We just worked together. We flowed together really well. And she was extremely respectful. But I watched her do things to herself that she should not have done. And I don't pretend to understand mental health in any way. I've seen a lot of crazy stuff, and it was no surprise to me when I got the phone call that she had passed away, but it was devastating for me because she was young. She was under 40 when she died.
Yeah.
And the last 5 years of my career, which was also her career, she spent a lot of time fighting for herself. This talented woman who had been in the industry since she was 3 was getting washed up at 35 years old and told that she was too fat. The wardrobe person can't fit you the right way. We have to put the camera at a certain angle, just ridiculous stuff that she was being told. And I had never gone through that with anybody, but watching her from 35 to almost 40 really not only fight medical conditions that she was having, but also fight this demon that is this Hollywood machine, tell her all these awful, awful things. And damn, she was talented. I mean, so damn talented. It was disheartening and it was sad. I was driving her to and from set. I felt for her and I understood what she was going through because I was going through it too in a very different,
You were so close to her. Yeah.
yeah. But I mourn her loss because
Sorry.
she could have been such a major star, like Helen Mirren, Glenn Close, Meryl Streep, where nobody tells those women anything.
Yeah.
But they had to really fight and work for it. And she was that talented. She could have gone that way. But man, this machine is just the
Hollywood machine is kind of weird. I've had like just little glimpses of it because most of my work has been in Toronto or like I said in Singapore. And but sometimes I've worked some TIFF events here, working with some celebrities, and not everyone, of course, definitely not everybody.
Right.
And there's been some like lovely, lovely gems that I've met that book me time and time again when they're coming back into the city, and I love that. But I did have one very particular odd experience, and it was a male actor, and I hadn't worked with him before. I had his list of wants, which is fine. Again, I'm 100% okay with that. So I had everything set up to get him ready. Yeah. And the only thing they didn't talk to me about was skincare. I didn't get like the heads up on that. So when he came in for me to do his grooming, I said, "Oh, I'm just want to know quickly, like, do you have any thoughts on skincare? I have things that I like to do, but if you have any preference." And he looked at me. At first he says, "No offense, I don't like people talking to me." And I was honestly, Melissa, I'm not sure if you had a lot of experience like that, but I've never.
No problem. Here, I would have been like, no problem. I don't like people either. Here you go. Yeah.
I was a bit kind of taken aback, and I said, sure. Okay, sorry. Did you just want to, like, did you have any view on skincare, or should I just go with whatever? And he also looked at the other, like, foundation palettes. He wanted a very specific brand. And then he went, so I had to go and buy it, of course, because it's a brand I don't really have. But he went and he looked at it and he closed a bunch of them because I had to bring an array of different shades of like blah, blah, blah. Yes, so he's just eyeballing it. He starts closing a bunch and he says, "You can put these away. I won't need these at all." And he says, "You'll use this one and this one and this one." And then he's like, "Oh, no one's ever asked me about skincare before." And I went, "Oh, okay." I said, "Well, that's fine. Like, I can just do it." And he was like, "No." Well, then he had a few questions for me for skincare. Yeah. But I'm a chatty Kathy, right? So it's like, I answered them, but then I just kind of go into Andrea mode and I just kind of keep talking. And then I had to stop because I'm like, "I'm so sorry." I said, "I didn't mean to like speak."
Right.
So right. but then it was funny at the end, and I did try to keep quiet, but I did talk a little bit here and there. But at the very end, he asked me to give him my phone number, and he said, "Just next time I'm in Toronto, I just want to book you directly." But he never called me, and he's been here multiple times since. I joked around by saying to other people, and I've told them the story. I said, "I think he wanted my name and phone number written down on his phone so he could be like, 'Don't book this person.'"
No, come on now. I understand that kind of thing. Plus, when you get nervous, I think I've always said if you're not nervous, even if you have a lot of time under your belt, then you should hang up your brushes because you never know what you're walking into ever. So it should be that bundle of nerves. You can bring forth your confidence in the fact that you know what you're doing, but you don't know what you're walking into. And actors are, God, man, some of them are, they're just so weird. They're like weird people. They really are. The first time I worked with Michelle, she threw up on me because she got heat stroke and she puked and projectile vomited on me.
You're like, so this happened.
Yeah. I mean, that was also the same set where she's deathly allergic to latex, and Crafty picked up a piece of chicken and put it on her plate with latex gloves. Yeah. Everybody knew no latex, and I had not 1 ounce of latex in my makeup room. And after lunch touches, she was sitting there and she stopped. She was like, this whole thing was swelling, and I was watching her going, holy shit. And I had her a little thing of Benadryl that you put underneath the tongue because she had told me about it. She was like, just keep this here on your table just in case. I had one. Anyway, I had it in her bags. I grabbed her by the face and I squeezed her mouth open really hard. I forced her mouth open and then forced this medication, thank you, into her and screaming for medics at the top of my lungs, people running to get the medic. I was like, oh, I'm fired. I'm going to be so fired first for touching her like that. And then, forcing medication into her body. Yeah. She came up to me and went, you're my makeup artist. Yeah. You were there for me. You
saved her life, really.
I mean, and I was like, I'm not fired. She was like, no, you're not fired. That was something that bonded us real quick. But I've had celebrities just like what happened with you. I had someone who was very popular, very, very famous, broke the ceiling for transgender in our world as far as Hollywood was concerned. And I was hired for her, and they booked this huge hotel room, and we were getting ready to do the World's AIDS conference. And she came in and looked and went, oh, all this is ridiculous. And threw her wig at me and said, just do the wig. I'll do everything else. Walked out, went next door to her hotel room. I'm like, okay. And then I, happened to have my wig stuff, which I usually don't have because I don't do hair. Mm-hmm. Combed out that wig, styled that wig. And that was, and got paid astronomical rates for that. And never again did I get a phone call for that person. I mean, you walk on these eggshells. And I thought, well, shit. All right. That sucks. Because that could have been such a great feather in my cap. Totally respect what they're doing in their lives, in the world, making changes, being an advocate, all this stuff. And I was like, yeah, this is awesome, man. If I knock this out of the ballpark, this is cool, and nope. It was just, style my wig.
So it's those jobs too that I find sometimes we just focus on so much. It's like you leave set and you're like, this is like the worst fucking time of my life. I don't want to ever work again. And I know that you're doing so much more with your TikTok these days. And I love it so much because you're just really talking just very plainly from your expertise about makeup and beauty. And it's all catered towards women in midlife.
I'm trying to. One of the things that's so amazing about TikTok is the community. It doesn't matter your age range. If you understand technology and you are engaging and you have something to give, people want to know about it. And I just one day in February, maybe I should just start my epic makeup TikTok like I did in my Instagram. And I had grown so much as a female. I had gone through my stroke. I was a stroke survivor. I was older. I had, gone through the menopause. I had all the issues, the same issues. My hair is graying. I'm starting to gray and not color my hair and, all this stuff. And I'm trying to do the thing that a lot of women try to do, which is age gracefully. I'm trying the skincare route before I go under the knife or anything else, which I'm definitely not opposed to doing. So I was like, well, let me kind of put my journey out there and see what happens. And I got like 20,000 followers in like a month, which was bizarre. What I didn't realize is there's a whole more mature community out there that is not marketed to in the beauty industry. And TikTok has so many young influencers that are trying to tell every woman what they should be wearing or using. And they don't have a wrinkle, a skin tag, mark on their perfect skin. And you're just like, why the hell would I be listening to you about, a wrinkle serum? What?
Yeah.
You don't even have a fucking wrinkle. Why would I be listening to you? How would you know that even works?
Yeah.
I had just decided I'm just going to be honest and tell people, first of all, you're listening to women who are telling you to use these things that are treatments, and they're telling you they instantly work. Well, that's a damn lie, because it's a treatment and it's going to take you 28 to 30 days to possibly 2 months to see any kind of results, period.
100%.
I don't care what it is, retinols, vitamin C's. I don't care what it is that you're putting on your face. It takes a while. And what pissed me off is that brands buy into this crap. They're like, yeah, let's get the young chick. I was like, who is marketing to me? Who's out there marketing to me and selling to me? Nobody.
100%. The fact that you and I come from such a strong beauty background.
Right.
And I know that a lot of companies and brands have turned from even supporting professional artists in general anyway. And a lot of it they're sending to influencers, which drives me fucking crazy, because the minute I see a product being touted by an influencer, I'm like, not interested in getting it at all. And
we have the money.
I 100% was gonna say that we have the money. Like, I'm willing to spend it. I just recently, because I love radio frequency facials, and I know that there are at home RF tools. And so there was 3 brands that I hear about a lot online, because people are always like posing with their photos or like videos, like, look at me doing this, like while I'm walking down the street, like da da da.
Yeah.
And so I had questions. And so I tried reaching out to these people on social media. No response. I found their PR email addresses, and I emailed them. No response. And I'm like, okay, I just have a few questions. Are they thinking I'm trying to get free? Because I'm not. Like, I do say, here are my questions. Also, do you offer professional discounts? Because there are so many brands that give us professionals 20 to 40% off. And if somebody wants to give me 20% off a tool,
yeah, that's going to cost you $500 retail, then yeah, you're going to take that. For
exactly.
Sure.
I'm not asking anyone to give me a fucking tool. So I don't know if you've done research on these RF tools yet, but the only company, and I'm going to mention them, Current Body. So they're the only RF tool that plugs in the wall. Like, you cannot recharge it.
Right.
And so just from my research and the fact that I used to get RF facials all the time, it makes sense that it has to stay in. So you're having a constant current versus charging something.
Right.
And so I said, I've researched 3 other tools. These other ones are rechargeable. Would you say, in your opinion, are they less effective because yours maintains a connection? And they were like, well, we can't speak about other tools, but we can tell you what's great about ours. So have you tried any RF tools?
I haven't tried any of that. I mean, I've gotten a lot of K-beauty companies reaching out to me, and a lot of these people with these red light therapies have reached out to me.
Yeah.
First of all, I'm not going to make a video of myself walking around my house with a red light mask on, looking like Hannibal Lecter, and being like, yeah, everybody and their mother needs to spend $500 on this stuff. I'm not saying that it doesn't work. I personally haven't used it, but people I know who have used it say it's amazing. I'm more looking into now things like the differences between retinols and PDRNs and how my skin reacts to certain things. And when you have an issue where you're breaking your skin barrier, how do you fix that? And there's lots of medications that I'm on that are creating issues for certain skincare products that I am using that I can't continue to use
Oh, that's
because,
interesting. Because of
yeah,
the
well,
vitamin A or
yeah,
something?
it's too much of something. And my skin barriers have been broken. So what is my next alternative? And it might be this red light therapy stuff. It might be more Botox, getting some filler, things like that. Because this is the area here, these what they call marionette
Yeah, the
lines.
marionette lines. Marionette lines. Mine have softened a little bit because the person that did my Botox, she was like,
Yes.
"Oh, they put a little bit there." I'm like, "Oh, I've never heard of that."
Collagen, you can puff this out, but collagen and things like that are very temporary. It's only going to do so much. So what's the next thing?
And for me, I've always felt like my own personal perspective. When I say this to people, they usually laugh at me and tell me I'm wrong, but it's how we see ourselves, right? I'm half Danish and half Icelandic, and I always feel like I have a big face, and I always say I have a big Danish frisbee face. And so I don't want to get anything that's going to plump anything out and make my face feel
Right.
fuller or bigger. I'm happy that I have good genes and I use good skincare, but I'd like to shrivel up a little bit. I sound like an asshole.
I don't have a lot of skin issues, except my skin is getting thinner. I do have and see the capillaries and veining. I see my mother and how my mother's aged. Okay, my mom looks really good, but my mom's also had a partial facelift. She's
Wow.
75.
Yeah.
We're getting closer in age. My mom was 17 when she had me. I'm catching up to my mother. I'm 58. My mom's 75. Shit.
My mom is 74. All those teenage
Oh,
pregnancies
yeah.
back in the day.
Back in the day, right? In the 60s. Yeah. Free love. Now I look and go, shit, we're like really close in age. Like I
Yeah.
could go before you.
Yeah.
I'm like, wait a minute. But seriously, I don't know what I want in this
Yeah.
time frame of my life. I'm having a good time on TikTok.
So I know you've basically had to go into forced retirement, which it sounds like you're loving it. For women that are in our age category, whatever they do for a living, and they're thinking that they want to retire and they're on the fence of that decision.
Right.
What's your thoughts for
So,
them?
my thought is that hobbies are very important. I have a lot of them. Hobbies for me can be simple like gardening because it's got colors in it and that transcends with me from makeup artistry and I love it. And I love getting my hands dirty and planting something and watching the fruit of my labor grow. I like being an educator and was for a long time. So I do love that and sharing what I know. And TikTok is an avenue that I can do that with. But I was not prepared for retirement. I was happy that I was able to retire. I watched my money. My husband, I should say, watched our money. And it happened at a time when we were in that weird space of coming out of the pandemic. So there was a whole bunch of years where I wasn't working because, I was off when the pandemic first hit. I didn't work for a full year because Hollywood didn't know what the hell to do with itself, and makeup artists are right in somebody's face. So, you couldn't, we didn't know what we were up against. Right. So getting back after that, it was very minimal and things were changing. So I had the stroke and then getting forced into retirement because my left hand didn't work anymore like it should have. I needed to go through all kinds of medical treatments and speech therapy, learning how to re-swallow, all this
Wow.
kind of stuff. So it took like over a year for that. So it was kind of just like this sort of not natural, but very much like I'm done. But I was able to take the energy that I still had and love and passion for what I did and figure out something else to do. And it's really more about education. TikTok's what's providing me with it right now. Being on your podcast is a big deal for me. It helps me and it's cathartic for me. It really is. It's very helpful. We're moving and I'm starting a new life outside of California. And I'm sure at some point I will be a grandmother. But it really, for me, the thing I think I can tell women in my world or in this area where they don't know if they should retire is if you can afford to retire, then you should retire. If you can afford to pull back, pull back, find another avenue, because there are things out there. I was very unaware that TikTok had an entire community of women who were in their 50s, 60s, and 70s that wanted and crave education and
Communication.
communication
Yeah.
and understanding
Yeah.
about what should I be using and why do I have to listen to this young punk telling me things about eyeliners when they don't have it dripping off their face because they're sweating. And I'm learning a ton too, because there's a lot of these women who are my age as influencers now. I was shocked. I was flying, I was in the airport. And you know how you can get those like new beauty magazines and stuff like that?
Yeah.
I opened it up and was like, oh my God. In the credit that went along the spine that was tucked in there, right? It wasn't even a real person.
Oh,
It said
AI.
AI generated female holding some kind of ampule. And my girlfriend, who's a makeup artist in print, she said her business has suffered a ton because now there are agencies that will create an actual
Yeah.
model for you using AI.
I get my knickers in a knot because of the industry that we're in, but I'm like,
Right.
well, now I'm not going to buy your product. Like I will literally stop buying someone's product if
Right.
they're using an AM model.
Right.
So,
Well, and that's more of your moralistically, you're morally not going to do that. And I would not too. But there's so many women out there that just don't even bother. They don't care.
well,
They don't even know about it.
I was
They're
going
like,
to say
whatever.
too, like
Still,
we're also used to looking for credits. I mean, obviously you don't see credits necessarily in ads, but in editorials, we look for credits because that's what we've always
100%.
done. In a way, I'm kind of like, I mean, who knows what the next thing is going to be for our industry. I do feel, I mean, I'm not ready to retire yet. Like I said, I left my agency. That was just more like they have too big of a roster, and
Right.
I won't like unpack all of my 25 years I was with them. It took me almost a year to decide to leave. I thought about it for a long time, but our industry is changing, and it's kind of like, what's the role, not even for hair and makeup artists that are women in their 50s, but what's the role for hair and makeup artists in general, right?
Right. Well, I did, one of the things I did attend before I left my career, I attended a lecture series by a makeup artist named Bill Corso, who's a huge makeup artist in Hollywood. He's mostly famous for being Harrison Ford's makeup artist, but he's done everything, and he's a huge special effects artist. And he said to this huge audience that was listening to him, he was like, you guys should look into taking AI courses when it comes to skin and makeup, because he had worked on like the Raiders of the Lost Ark, the last film, where they definitely AI'd Harrison Ford to be younger. And well, he had done that makeup.
Yeah.
So they brought him in to editing with the AI person to make sure that it was correctly done. And he got paid for that. And he got paid well for that. And I was like, shit. I'm like, oh my God. So now I'm going to not have a brush in my hand anymore. And I'm going to sit with somebody who's going to ask my opinion. If somebody wanted to pay me, hundreds of thousands of dollars to do that, I would do that. But well, so you're basically saying it's happening. And, we thought it was going to happen when, CG, oh my God, CG, oh, we're done now, and it's like, but now AI
It's like, now we're really done.
Yeah. Now
Years ago in Singapore, there was a campus of Tish there, and I took a cinematography course. It wasn't like anything major, but it still gave me some good insight for my job. And so the editing suite, who was teaching editing there, we just did like 2 workshops with them. It wasn't even like a big deal. It was more like watching the editor showing what he could do, which was cool. Sure. But he was using DaVinci Resolve. And so I get periodically mailers from DaVinci Resolve, and like that's one under the umbrella of Black Magic, right? And they had a workshop, and it was this very small, intimate thing. Post COVID in Singapore, there was like 30 people there. I'm the only woman, and everyone else is like camera guys, effects people, not makeup effects. And then I kind of sit up straight when they're getting to the beauty tools, which I thought was really interesting. And then someone said, "What do you do? Like, why are you here?" And I was like, "Oh, I'm a hair and makeup artist." And they thought that was just so crazy that a hair and makeup artist is coming. I don't think I'm going to be diving down into a deep new avenue of my career. I love doing hair and makeup, but I agree with you that,
well, I mean, I'm married to an editor,
yeah,
and my husband will tell you the first thing that he can't stand is when they don't hire a professional makeup artist. And my job, I always thought, was never just makeup. It was never just putting makeup on. I was involved in making sure that post-production editing didn't have to spend immense amounts of time, which on the back end costs the client way more money than my hourly.
I had a question I wanted to ask you,
Yeah.
which was, and I'm actually going to change the question, but the question I wanted to ask you was if you could give women our age group like 2 or 3 like products that you think they should get, what would they be? But I don't want to ask you that question. First of all, I think shout out to your TikTok, which I will link in the show notes, and people can watch because you're recommending and you're talking about products all the time. If you were able to speak to corporate beauty industry, what would you want to say to them?
I would want to say that there is an entire generation of women that you're missing out on marketing to, that have the economic means to spend money. The thing that I spend most of my time educating people on is how to make your makeup last throughout the day, especially when you're going through menopause. How can I protect my skin? How can I put on a makeup and make it last for 8 to 10 hours, period? What can I do? And I feel like manufacturers, corporately, whatever it is, they're missing out on that.
They're marketing to 13-year-olds. Go to the women that want to and have the money to spend.
Your hair's graying, it's this, that, and the other. It's unruly, it's frizzy. What do I do? We are left out in the cold, and I'm not sure exactly why. Women are having a hard time. Andrea, it's insane. These women who DM me, they send me photos that they're very embarrassed to send me. They're just like, I just don't know what to do. And I'm like, girl, I feel for you. Yeah. I understand. I don't know. I mean, I really think there's a whole side of the beauty industry that is really missing out on so much.
It's so funny. And I can't even understand the psychology behind, because like you say, they know it's there. Right. They know we're here. We're not going anywhere. We're just going to continue to happen.
I don't know. I mean, and you've got all the look at all the freaking 90s supermodels that are aging gracefully and gorgeous. It's not like you don't have the freaking models.
Yeah, the campaign's right there. Thanks for tuning in to the Fuck You 50s. If you enjoyed this episode, please take a moment to follow and rate the podcast. And we would love to connect with you on Instagram. So be sure to follow us at the Fuck You 50s. The Fuck You 50s is hosted by Andrea Claire. See you next time.
Ryan Reynolds here from Mint Mobile. I don't know if you knew this, but anyone can get the same premium wireless for $15 a month plan that I've been enjoying. It's not just for celebrities. So do like I did and have one of your assistant's assistants switch you to Mint Mobile today. I'm told it's super easy to do at mintmobile.com/switch.
Upfront payment of $45 for 3-month plan, equivalent to $15 per month required. Intro rate first 3 months only, then full price plan options available. Taxes and fees extra. See full terms at mintmobile.com.
I'm Serena Williams, and I'm healthier on Ro. I've lost 34 pounds in a year with GLP-1s, diet, and exercise. On Ro, you can access GLP-1 options, including the first FDA-approved GLP-1 pill for weight loss. Go to ro.co/journey to see if you qualify. 14 to 20% average weight loss in 1 year in non-diabetics with obesity or overweight with a weight-related medical condition versus 2.2% to 3.1% in placebo arm. RX only. To stay informed about serious side effects, go to ro.co/safety.